about this, that the politicized version of Islam is the real problem at the moment. Most faiths take a long time to sort of work themselves out, to be interpreted, for people to drop verses that aren't any good. Christianity and Judaism, many centuries ago, got through this process of dropping the wicked and the violent verses. Islam has to do that now, and it has to do it fast.
But isn't that compromising your religion, editing it for the times in which you live? Isn't that let's see what people think about this. Yeah, I'm sure you'd like to say something.
Well, I grew up in a very non-Muslim environment. Most of my friends are in fact Jewish or just generally non-Muslim, and it meant that I was taught to tolerate difference from a very young age, and I think there's a massive difference between tolerating and accepting. Now, I won't partake in behaviour that Islam forbids me from partaking, but that does not mean that I can't tolerate other people doing that, because they are not obligated in any way to follow the rules that I'm taught to follow. And whilst you might not accept things that other people do, you have to at least tolerate it, especially in today's times and in this country as well, where there is such a diversity of behaviour and beliefs. You must tolerate it, even if it's just putting on a face.
Yes, you said, go on.
Yeah, you were talking about sort of editing your religion for the times. You're saying that it compromises your religion. Religion is simply a way of understanding the world. Surely it must adapt as the world adapts, otherwise it shall die out.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
What is this? Let's get to apostasy as well. And we've got a gay Muslim to speak to us, although you don't believe it. Well, some people think you're an oxymoron, Anjem, as well. You know, just a moron. So let's not call each other oxymorons. But, you know, that's why he's in disguise. I want to ask about apostasy, the abandonment of faith. If God is so great, and who's to doubt that he is, he's also extremely touchy, isn't he?
No, the fact is that we have been given the Sharia to live our lives in every aspect and every department of our life. So that includes, for example, how someone embraces Islam, and that includes rules which apply to those people who leave the fold of Islam.
Why kill them now? Why not wait till the final judgment? That's like a double whammy. Kill them so badly, kill them twice.
At the end of the day, that the best one to determine how you should live your life, how you should function, how you should satisfy your instincts, your desires, and your feelings, is your Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even in the realm of punishment and crime, He is the only one who can determine what the punishment should be, and we should implement it not as if you like, as taking some kind of revenge, but as implementing the divine law of God in trying to please Him.
For the vast majority of good-minded people that are watching this show, I want to make it absolutely clear: Anjem Choudhury does not represent Islam. He does not represent Muslims. He does not represent decent human beings. Yeah? He has no right to interpret the Sharia sitting on this show here, and I just want to make that very clear, that this is an example of an extreme fringe that described the 9/11 bombers as the Magnificent 19. He used to head a group that's now been prescribed under terrorism legislation.
Who support the American government and the British government.
He should not be here talking on behalf of Islam.
Okay, let's get it back. Let's get it back.
Otherwise, you're munafiq and a kafir.
Anjem Choudhury, let's show some respect for these people, please.
Hi there. As a white British unaccompanied woman, I spent my summer in Pakistan last year, and not only did I feel that I was tolerated, I was really accepted, and people, and I walked around in generally Western clothing, and every single person, I never once felt that anyone felt any animosity towards me. People were very accepting and very interested to learn more about me and where I was from, learning about my family and things like that. And I feel ashamed that people in this country don't show the same respect and to Muslims who've come here. And I think it was very telling to me that in a mainly Muslim country.
Very welcoming, yeah.
Yeah, very welcome.
You had a problem in a Muslim country because you're gay.
Yeah.
Are you still a Muslim?
Yes, I'm Muslim. And I'm proud I'm Muslim, but I'm gay.
Was the problem the culture in which you were, or the faith which you practiced?
The problems with the Islamic figures, not the Islam. Like, we are, as a Muslim, our guide is Quran. And they're saying about the homosexuality, all the people are, or let's say, Islamic figures are fighting the homosexual people. Because they're trying to get the power against these minorities, to get the majorities. Just this is the reason. And for me, I'm a Muslim person. If I want to know what's the rules, I can go to the Quran. There is nothing a term in the Quran which is very clearly against homosexual people. Or against homosexual people, but the problem
is the Bible too.
The problem is that there's two things. People now, or the governments, especially my government, I'm from Iraq, because they are mixing the political situation with the religions. And here, what our country is suffering because of these Muslim figures killing people, not only homosexual people. They are killing everyone. What's happening now in Iraq because all of them. Like
so very much there's an internal political situation, power struggle going on. And Harris as well. But is it possible that we'll ever get the way that we have gay priests, for example, a gay imam?
I've never seen a gay imam. The first and foremost,
openly gay, obviously.
I've never seen an openly gay imam. Islam as a faith, as a religion, first of all, the Quran says very clearly that Islam is an advice for yourself, for the individual. So first of all, I have to focus on being a better Muslim from my perspective, the way that I believe. And one of the things I absolutely hate, Nikki, is that when political movements, just as they did in Europe in the 1930s, wanted to determine the perfect Aryan race, the perfect German, or the perfect person that believed in a particular political viewpoint, we now have political organisations that call themselves faith-based Muslim organisations or Islamic organisations that want to determine who and what is a Muslim. And that's something I have a problem with. There is no such thing as one particular type of Muslim. The Quran says there is no compulsion in religion.
It's determined by the Sharia. You see, there's no such thing as political Islam.
There are 73...
For your information, Harris, the Sharia was implemented for 1,302 years on a political level.
Al-Azhar University...
And can I just say to the man over there, when he says gay Muslim, there's nothing about gay... There's nothing about being gay in the Quran. What about the story of Lut alayhi salam? Why were the people cursed and why were they destroyed?
There's no punishment in the Quran.
Okay, wait a minute. There is great intolerance in many religions and in many religious books, Father.
Sadly, yes. And I was interested in what Douglas was saying earlier, and I agree with him entirely, that the problem, and with our friend over here, is with the politicisation of religion. There are incidents in our Christian history of which we are ashamed, and which, for example, you talked about the Crusades and Urban starting them. Well, John Paul II spoke at length about that and our sorrow for that. It was a product of its age, and there are various reasons why you can come up with why they happened. We've talked about different eras, but the politicisation of a religion is very dangerous. So, for example, I'm a Catholic, but I did not support anything that happened in the name of the Catholic Church in Northern Ireland, for example. It brought shame on my religion, of which I hold very dearly. And it's when people take it to an extreme and do things in the name of that religion which bears nothing, no resemblance to what I follow and have given my life to.
Do you think it's, in any religion, it's the empty vessels who make the most noise, that cause the most harm when it comes to the image of that particular religion?
I think religion as at extremes is actually it's anti-religion. I grew up as a Methodist, and now I'm not sure I have faith. I'm somewhere between an agnostic and an atheist. I'm not really sure where I am. But for me, it's about living a good life. And I know many people who go to church on a Sunday and would call themselves Christians or would say they have a faith, but then don't live the rest of their life like that. And I find that much more upsetting than, you know, it's about how you show yourself, and it's being a good person. It's people who screw up everything in this world. The world's a great place, but it's people who damage it.
Douglas Murray?
And if I can say so, I mean, I couldn't agree with that more. The great achievement of Western European civilization in the last few hundred years, the Enlightenment, the ability to not have rules based on people pointing to a verse in a holy book that you may not think is a holy book and saying you have to live your life by the law because of this verse. We've managed to get away from that, and as the gentleman in the front row here has shown, it's very important that Islam also gets away from that. If that happens, it can be a guide to your life, but not the legal nightmare which people like Mr. Chowdhury would have us live in.
Just a point of fact, Nikki, that in fact Muslims never had that problem throughout the whole of history. The Sharia wasn't implemented on a state level. It's the modern politicized Islamist movement that people like Chowdhury represent that is now calling for the politicization of Islam. And I'd just like to remind Douglas as well, the author of Neoconservatism, Why We Need It, that it was Bush who said, you're with us or against us, and not God.
Oh,
and that's an important point, because
but Mr. Bush did not say so on behalf of God.
And you're a former radical yourself.
Because he launched it in the name of God. So
and you are a former radical yourself. But
I've never been to prison for it.
A last question, because we have this oxymoron, this word has been thrown around. Are you a real Muslim?
Well, I wouldn't like to claim anything about myself. I hope that God accepts me for who I am. I don't think people should label each other or others. You know, this whole term of... This whole term that Islamists have invented, which doesn't exist in the Quran, about practicing and non-practicing Muslim, this is an innovation. This word practicing doesn't exist in the scripture. So I think the way in which they label people is very divisive.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Thank you all very much indeed. I know lots of people want to have a say on this, but we have to leave it there. And if you want to tell us what you think. You can just log on to bbc.co.uk/the big question.